I'm gonna end up in a really annoying question, mate, that you must get so frustrated answering. But I just want to ask about the Nando's.
The Nando Skank?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, that was pre-big Ed Sheeran, right? He was playing at the
It
waterfront
was-
in Norwich.
I think 2008? 2008, yeah.
Can you give some context? Because maybe some of the listeners might
So
be too...
2000 and, so yeah, Nando Skank, me and Ed Sheeran out backstage at the Norwich waterfront venue.
Evening here, example here backstage at the waterfront in Norwich. It's not sunny, but I'm wearing sunglasses. And here is wonderful Ed Sheeran.
I said, oi, you, are you gonna bang? Don't know. I want some fucking Nando's, wanna eat it up with chicken and chips. Every now and then I freestyle like this. When I freestyle on the beat about chicken, you know it's finger licking. And I'm gonna pass it over to example. Now he's gonna freestyle and he's gonna show you how he do.
Chicken wings, they're my favorite things, and I love to sing. I say chicken wings. If you give me them, I will eat them tings.
Yo.
I think 2008. I had just lost my record deal with Mike Skinner and the Beats, which was part of Warner. And I was thinking of quitting. And I was kind of dabbling back in TV and editing again. But I had this following going. And I had put out, I think, a track called Hooligans, which had done pretty well. Like Zane Lowe had played it on Radio 1. It was like my first foray into dance music. So we decided to put another tour on. It was like 15 gigs. And I was going around in a van, not a tour bus. So like you'd stay in travel lodges and stuff. And there'd be like 6 or 7 of us in a van. And I've messaged Ed Sheeran on Twitter. So I had 30, 40,000 followers. Ed maybe had 7,000, 8,000 followers. And I've invited him to come and support me. And at this point, he'd already done a few support gigs. So it's not like I discovered him. He'd done like Just Jack, or he'd been on tour. He'd already done maybe 400 or 500 gigs. Like, because he'd been gigging since he was like 14, the nutter. And I've invited him to come on tour. And I think he did 4 or 5 gigs on that tour. And the first night was in Norwich at the waterfront. And as a tour diary, I've got someone to film it on like a little GoPro. And I just said, what should we do? And he said, well, let's just go out the back and have a freestyle about chicken. And I think I was drinking a rum and Coke, and he'd had a beer maybe. And we both looked absolutely disheveled and a bit mental. And he just started playing guitar, and we just started freestyling about chicken. And then we stayed in touch, and he supported me on a few more tours. And then I think by the time, there was this sort of cross section, maybe 2 years later, which was about the time I was selling out, say, Shepherd's Bush Empire in London, like 2 nights in a row. It's like 3,500, 4,000 tickets. He was selling out maybe Coco in Camden, 1,500 tickets. I was maybe on 100,000 followers or something like that. And he was, probably, but it's a good perspective. No, I was probably on like 500,000 followers. He was on like 100,000. And then a few months later, he overtook me on followers. It was like, it just went, he's always been chipping away, but it just went like that. And then the last time we were ever kind of on an even sort of playing field was, I released Stay Awake, which was number 1, I think in August 2011. And he released You Need Me, I Don't Need You, and that was number 3. Moves Like Jagger was number 2. And I'd beat Moves Like Jagger to number 1 by about 100 downloads. It was the closest number 1, number 2 in a decade. And that was the last time I was number 1, he was number 3 in the charts. And then within sort of 6 months of that, he was number 1 in America and selling out venues all over the world. And he overtook me on everything. And I so he should, but I'm just trying to put in perspective where my career was and his career was when we did the Nando Skank.
Was there not a conversation whereby he said, if I ever make it to Wembley, I'll let you support me or something?
Yeah,
like
I said to him that day in Norwich, I gave him a bottle of whiskey.
GD, right?
JD, and I wrote on it, please let me support you when you play stadiums. And that was, and do you know what's mental? 5 years later, he was playing stadiums. No one does that, man. It's fucking mental. Like, from supporting me in Norwich to 600 people to 3 nights at Wembley. That is just like, that's some trajectory, man. Like, but he embodied it then. He didn't mention to me that he wanted to play stadiums. I could just see it in him. I'm sure in his head he wanted to play stadiums, because he said he wanted to play stadiums since he was 12 or something. You know what I mean? He always had a plan about what albums to put out, in what order, what lyrics he was going to do, what songs, and when he was going to do arenas, when he was going to do stadiums, when he was going to do America. everything he said I set out to do came true. And I think when you play guitar as well as him, write songs as well as him, sing as well as him, it's entirely possible. I think from my point of view, it's just like, I don't think I'm the best singer in the world. I don't play instruments on stage. And like, I'm happy with everything I set out to do. And I exceeded everything I set out to do. He's just on a different ballpark. He's now trying to outdo himself because he can only compete with himself. But yeah, he's a pretty phenomenal fella. And yeah, he invited me to come play Wembley, and I was like, oh yeah. And he went, you've forgotten, haven't you? I went, yeah. He was like, yeah, you watched me once in Norwich. I watched this performance, and we were all stood there, like me, my photographer, tour manager, DJ, just watching him going, this guy is unbelievable. And the crowd were transfixed. And he did that wherever he went. He did like 200 shows a year, just blowing everyone away, whether he was the main act or the support act. Pretty inspiring.
It's amazing, man.
And we were sat in my sauna in Australia I think when he was on tour in Australia, maybe it was last year, whenever he was doing his Australia tour. Maybe October or something like that. I can't remember. But
those conversations must be well. You and Ed in the sauna, like, look.
well, yeah, he just messaged. So he was playing the Suncorp Stadium, which is 2 minutes from my house, 2-minute drive. So I was like, just come around, see the kids, and we'll have a sauna and ice bath. He was like, oh, I don't know, I'm knackered, man. I've just been to a hospital and seen a load of dying kids. I feel really depleted. I just want to have a glass of wine and go on stage. So come and have a sauna and ice bath, I'll sort you out. He said, all right, I trust you. Security drops him off at my house. It was so weird. My kids were just there eating dinner, and Ed just walks in the front door and he's just like, hey. And Evander, my 9-year-old, just goes, hey, Ed. And he's just on his iPad going. And then me and Ed were just sat there chatting. And my 6-year-old's just on the other side of the room, not even paying attention, completely oblivious. And then I'm like, do you want a picture? Ennie is my 6-year-old. Ennie, get in a picture with Annie. No. Get in a picture with Ed. No, Dad, I don't want to. I was like, all right. And then me and Ed went and had a sauna, had a really nice live chat, and he had an ice bath, and it really rejuvenated. And then he just I fed him, and then he went and jumped in a car and went to the stadium again. But that's lovely that he's so, he hasn't changed at all. He's amazing.
I love it.
Only thing that's changed, he doesn't have a phone now, which he shouldn't have. But it's lovely to think I've known him like 10 years, and he can play a stadium, my local stadium in Australia, 78,000 people, and just pop to my house for dinner by himself. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, when he played there 4 years ago, I think he walked from my house to the stadium. Because no one's expecting Ed Sheeran to arrive at the stadium because he's visited his mate next door. Arrive on foot. But yeah, he's something special, but yeah.
And they'd probably be confused to see such a ginger outside in the Australian heat as well.
There's quite a lot of gingers in Australia.
I can only say that as a proud ginger myself.
You ain't getting my card, dog. I want some Nando's. Sing this. I want some Nando's.
I want some Nando's
right now.
I want some Nando's right now.
Yeah, you should be proud.